What are things your roommate has done that is pure evil? College roommate in my second year. There was a serial rapist who had targeted several college girls by entering dorms. She didn't want to take her keys with her to her boyfriend's room. So she left both our suite and room doors unlocked when she left. I was already asleep. Lucky for me, I slept under a drafty window, and it was winter. So I was under several blankets that I kept tucked under the mattress so I wouldn't uncover myself during the night. My screams woke the guys in the next room, so they were able to save me before the monster got me uncovered. His face was a bit swollen and bruised in his mugshot. They took that after he got out of the hospital. My roommate just couldn't understand why I didn't speak to her the rest of the semester and didn't return the next year. She got stuck with a roommate worse than her. So karma. She did a lot of things, but that was the worst because we had been told repeatedly to keep our doors locked at all times, and her apology was to say sorry. But I should know she hated taking her keys and buy a lot of things. I include giving me alcohol poisoning by putting vodka in my Kool-Aid when I had a bad cold and couldn't taste anything. I was 18, started college at 17, and had never had alcohol. School nearly expelled me for underage drinking, but someone came forward and said I hadn't been out of bed and my roommate was getting my drinks. She got probation because it wasn't proven that she did it. I'm just thankful social media didn't exist back then. She tried to add me on Facebook about 10 or 12 years ago, but I told her that 20 years apart hadn't made me like her any more than back then and blocked her. Once I had a housemate who never returned kitchen utensils to the kitchen after using them. When I moved into that apartment we had something like 20 forks, and by the time I moved out, there were no forks left in the utensil drawer, and I was keeping one in my room so that he wouldn't steal it. Not washing the bathroom ever. In our 5 years of living together. Threatened to stab me with his used needle to give me hepatitis. That was quite a shitty thing to do in my opinion. My roommate used to eat the core out of my peanut butter and similar things, so it would still look full. Are you sure they weren't dicking the jars down? You know damn well that's the truth. I lived with 3 others in an apartment a couple years ago. In the kitchen, I had a small section of the counter with a few pour over coffee brewing items, Chemex, scale, gooseneck kettle, which are relatively pricey and fragile, so everyone agreed to be careful with them. One day, I noticed a pile of someone's dirty dishes on top of my coffee kit. It was clearly deliberate and quite strange. I was taken aback at first, but I thought little of it until it happened the next day and the day after. None of the roommates took responsibility. After weeks of this, I finally caught my roommate Matt in the act and I asked him why. He said it's because I didn't wash my dishes. So I explained that they weren't mine. I'm the only vegan in the apartment, so it was pretty easy to prove that the plates and pans with chicken weren't me. He apologized and promised to stop, but the next day he continued, and now there's a chip in the glass of my Chemex. So naturally I asked him to replace it, which only made him more angry. Later that week, there was a clog on our bathroom sink from hair. I said I would fix it, but Matt insisted that he be the one to do it, figuring this was maybe his way of making up for things. I agreed to let him do it and thanked him. But when I got home from work that day, there was a large stove pot on top of my coffee kit, filled with dirty sink water and hair from the drain. That night I got all the roommates together, including Matt, and basically said, it's either him or me. It was unanimously decided to kick him out. To this day, I don't know why he did that. In college, I had a 6:30 AM required class, culinary arts, ordering and warehouse management if you're wondering. My first college roommate would come back to the room around midnight most nights, flip on the lights and loudly play League of Legends. Not living with her anymore, thank heavens, but she had a giant drunken party on a Sunday night that lasted all night. I'm 45 and she is 40. Guess who is gainfully employed? Guess who needed to ducking sleep like a normal adult human? I let my cousin live with me while she only paid 1/4 of the rent, and she was severely bipolar, but also just a bitch. And once she blocked me from leaving my house, tried to make me lose my house and dogs. She was evicted and pretty much cut off from our family after her own father, my uncle, Watched her use my dining table to put a hole in my dining room wall and use a knife to rip open a cushion. I once shared a house with 3 other people. We would label our food, and each of us had our own shelf in the pantry. Some food was shared like milk, but most was not. I once came back to find my roommate eating my peanut butter straight from the jar with a spoon, double dipping and all. Despite seeing my name on the lid, he thought I bought the jar to share because it was a family size and nobody needs that much peanut butter. I like my peanut butter. Levy was the worst roommate I've ever had. Unfortunately, this was just one of many stories. Flew his brother out from Florida to spend 2 weeks in our apartment in the middle of the pandemic and didn't tell me or the other roommate until 9 PM the night before. I assumed he would at least leave his kid, whom he had partial custody of, with her mom while his brother was out. But no, the kid also stayed with us for the majority of those 2 weeks, giving a grand total of 3 adults, a teenage boy, and a baby in an apartment with 1 bathroom, in a pandemic. Low-key sexual harassment for many months. 95% of the time she was fine, and we were actually decent friends, but every now and then she would go all out trying to have sex with me. Knock on the bathroom door and constantly talk to me while I was taking a shit. Turn the heat up to 100 because hair's cold. Leave the oven on all night long many times. Turn the shower on fully hot then spend 30 some minutes doing whatever before getting in, subsequently using all the hot water. Having clothes in the washer and dryer 24/7 running or not. Make huge mess in kitchen every night then complain I don't wipe down the counters often enough. I would eat out every day because I couldn't get any time to cook in the kitchen. The list goes on from this one person. I love Ben & Jerry's Boom Chocolate Cookie Core. My old roommate used to eat the cookie core and the coffee ice cream and only leave the white ice cream for me. Pure evil. Not mine, but my cousin told me how her roomie captured a stray cat and killed it, justifying that cats are an invasive species and damage the natural wildlife, and that in doing so he was helping North America's ecosystem. Technically they are right, but still an asshole. Milk before cereal. Against my will, he borrowed my clean underwear for a date and returned it dirty. Back when I was active duty, I had a barracks room with 3 other guys. One of them just came from a Marine unit since he was a corpsman, and I guess he felt he could treat others like shit. He would go out with his friends, get completely shit-faced, and come into the room yelling at the top of his lungs and wanted to play loud ass music at 2 in the morning on a weekday. Then got pissed at us when we asked him if he could be quiet because we are trying to sleep. Use my shampoo and conditioner without asking. I'd find them half filled with water because it made it last longer. If they used it all, they would leave the empty containers in the shower for me to find and move, not turn off lights when they were done in that room. Some mornings I'd leave my room to find every damn light in the whole house on. The worst one, water my plants without telling me. They killed so many plants. They had no idea how to care for plants. And some days I'm pretty sure they would water them a few hours after I did, because when I found out they were doing it, their reason was that I didn't give them enough water. Mistreated her dog. Would constantly oversleep and not take the dog out for a morning walk. Dog wouldn't get its first walk until late afternoon. Dog also spent all day in the room when she was out. Room was 8x 10 feet with a large bed in it. It was a 50-ish pound dog. She would spank the dog's rump when we were around. The day I moved out, went into the room to say goodbye to the pup. She had left without turning the act on, with none of the blinds down. Sun shining in. Was about 80 degrees Fahrenheit outside. Easily that in the room. Not me, but an ex of mine had a roommate who was insane and just irrationally hated her. On my ex's birthday one year, her roommate was acting unusually nice and brought her a cake that she made for her and said she was trying to smooth things out. She thanked her and waited until she wasn't around anymore to cut into the cake because she just felt that something was up. When she finally did, the knife hit something hard on the way through the cake. So she dug into it and found that this bitch put a bunch of ducking screws in the cake. She left immediately and completely cut ties. My roommate moved out without telling us. One day I came back and all of her stuff was gone. She was leaving with her last box as I was coming in, and all she said was, "Don't worry, I found someone else to take over my lease." Well, when I went into her room, it was a complete mess. Old moldy food left on the floor, weird stains on the walls, toenail clippings scattered all over the place, tons of change just lying around. It was absolutely disgusting, and I was the one who had to clean it all, so the new girl wouldn't have to walk into a pigsty. My other roommates did not help me at all, and the thing is, she only was there for 1 month. She made that much of a mess in just 1 month. I once roomed with a, now former, close friend. She ended up essentially moving her creepy boyfriend in. A lot of things happened over the course of that year, all terrible in their own right. And then her boyfriend took a shit in my bathtub. So that was that. My roommate just had COVID, refused to wear a mask or sanitize after themselves while I lived in the basement and never went upstairs for 2 weeks. Now that his quarantine is done, I'm pretty sure he's out tonight at the same bar where he got COVID. Good times. My worst roommate ever of course had to be someone I found off Craigslist. Never again. Took 2 to 3 hour showers at times I needed to get ready for work. Shared bathroom. Cook and would leave leftovers just sitting on the countertop until it got extremely moldy and we would have to yell at him to clean it. Would use the dryer to dry his clothes as I'm going to bed, but only at this late hour. Wash/dryer are right in front of my room. Wouldn't pay his portion of the electric bill and it got shut off twice in my less than 1 year stay. Rotting food in the fridge was a norm. Liked to keep the apartment at 65 degrees constantly and wouldn't shut it off even if no one was home, so our bill was sky high every month. Fuck you, Robert. You're not celibate because girls are too dumb to understand you. It's because you have less self-awareness than a ducking cucumber. Made pizza and hot wings. Supposedly, the pizza sauce was some kind of sweet chili sauce with regular Italian sausage/pepperoni/mozzarella toppings. The hot wings weren't sweet chili, but ketchup and chili powder. It was an abomination. Let her boyfriend eat all our food and not replace it, even when he once left the fridge open for hours and everything went bad. Had sex all over the apartment, but didn't clean anything, and would wait till I sat somewhere to say when they last ducked in that spot. Walked around naked and rubbed her crotch/ass on anything within reach, i.e. doorknobs, and complained I left shades open and someone might see her naked. This is just a small bit of what happened. I want to preface this with mentioning he had his own perfectly working bathroom. That didn't matter though. He decided when he inevitably got opiate constipated he would go to my bathroom with his laxatives, take a huge shit, and not flush it. I know because he'd leave the laxative bottle and the shit. I moved out immediately. More gross than evil, but this one chick I lived with used the drawers on her side of our shared bathroom cabinet as the rubbish bin for her used sanitary products. Gag. Vom. Even just thinking back to that awful year, I didn't discover it until late in the lease, when it already made the decision to move out, rather than renew and stay on in that hellscape. But seriously, what kind of tainted, toxic air was I breathing all year? Exclamation mark. Question mark. Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. Had a close friend/coworker as a flatmate and things were great for quite some time. Then he got a new boyfriend who convinced him to start doing meth, and how the turntables has started inviting overgrown ass men he was meeting on Grindr to our lovely home. Smoking meth, banging them, then kicking them out to never talk to them again. We told him no Mars meth, no Mars random men in our home. That didn't even last 3 days, so we told him he had 3 days to pack his shit. During that time he non-stop smoked cigarettes in his room. Somehow managed to steal some of my clothes. Broke the shower head. Then wrote with lipstick on all our cars. No tea, no shade. Please subscribe and leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of Reddit Universe.